Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to the second webinar we have today in our Lynx webinar series. My name is Martin Kaltenböck. I'm co-founder and CFO of the Semantic Web Company, located here in Vienna in Austria. And I'm together with Elena Montiel, who is the project lead of the Lynx project. And today we have a very interesting agenda in place. So we will have a very short introduction by Elena after my super short intro. And then we will have an introduction to the Lynx project. And then we will have our 3 pilot cases, our use cases that you see on the slides at the moment. So we will start with geothermal energy compliance by DNV.GL, presented by Peter Verhoeven, who is senior consultant of DNV.GL. We will then go ahead with contract analysis pilot by Cybly, presented by Christian Sargeder, who is the managing director at Cybly, an Austrian startup and legal tech company. And the third one is a labor law pilot that will be presented by Cuatrecasas, by Pascual Boyle, who is consultancy and applications director at Cuatrecasas, and Elsa Gomez, who is ECM applications responsible at Cuatrecasas. And at the very end, we will have a question and answering session. So feel free during the whole webinar, please. You have a chat in your panel of GoToMeeting. Just put in your questions when they appear. When you have some, just put them into the chat. We will collect them, we will put them together, and then we will open up the panel at the very end and ask the questions or put the questions to our panelists. Just 2 administrative information. So this webinar is being recorded, and we will provide the recording and the slides in the coming days after the webinar. So if you're interested to take a look at the slides, if you want to share the recordings, we will send it out to you. Just make use of them. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to you, Elena. Good morning, and the floor is yours, and I go into the next slide.
Okay, thank you so much, Martin, for such a nice welcome. So it is also my absolute pleasure to welcome you to webinar 2 of this webinar series that the Lynx Consortium has organized to share with you some of the main achievements of the project. I will start by giving some basic info about the project. Yes, Lynx is an innovation action funded by the European Union under the Horizon 2020 framework program. And the topic Big Data PPP, public-private partnership, cross-sectorial and cross-lingual data integration and experimentation, which basically means that Lynx is also part of the projects under the umbrella of the Big Data Value Association. Its initial duration was 36 months, now has been extended due to the COVID pandemic, and the project will come to an end on the 31st of March. There you also can see the estimated project costs, contribution by the EU, and our project officers. Next, please, Martin. Thank you. So who are we? As you can see in this map, most institutions are located in Europe, and one of our partners is an Israeli company, K-Dictionaries, a dictionary data provider. Then we have 3 universities in the consortium, UPM, Universidad Politécnica de Madrid, coordinators of the project, University of Zaragoza, and the Autonomous University of Barcelona. And also from Barcelona is our international law firm Cuatrecasas, as Martin just mentioned, one of the business cases of the project, and you'll hear more about them in a minute. Then from the Netherlands, another business case of the project, the industrial certification company DNV.GL. Also, you will get some more details about them. Then we have DFKI, the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence. From Latvia, the language technology company Tilde, specialized in machine translation, language technologies in general. And then 2 Austrian companies. You have also heard about them, Cybly, a legal tech company, and the 3rd business case of the Lynx project, and Semantic Web Company, provider of semantic technologies. And finally, Alpenite, an Italian system integrator company. So 11 partners on the whole. Yes, so what have we tried to achieve with this project? Well, broadly speaking, the main objective of Lynx was to overcome the difficulties that companies in Europe face when engaging in trade abroad, right? When trying to localize their products or services to other countries, in which obviously legislation and regulations are different, yeah. All these regulations and legislation are published by, well, different institutions in different languages according to different criteria and formats. So therefore the difficulties. Okay, next one. So our efforts have been devoted to create an ecosystem of smart cloud services to better manage compliance. So this ecosystem of services is based on a knowledge graph that integrates and links heterogeneous compliance data sources, including legislation, case law, standards, private documents from companies, all of these across languages and jurisdictions. Next one, please. Yes, and here we come, the real actors of today's webinars, our pilots. Yes, so in order to showcase how Lynx services can be orchestrated with different purposes, we present the three Lynx pilots about geothermal energy, labor law, analysis of contracts. And without further ado, I'll hand over to my colleagues so that you get more information, more details about these three pilots. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elena, for this wonderful introduction into the Lynx project. So we change our speakers. So we have now Peter from DNV.GL, who will shortly will jump with his camera. Hi, Peter. Good morning. Good to see you.
Morning.
Yep. Good morning to the Netherlands, to Utrecht.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Yes, the floor is yours. Please tell us about the pilot geothermal energy. Happy
to do that. Thank you, Martin. So I am Peter Verhoeven, and I'm working for DNV.GL. And for those who haven't worked with DNV.GL before, we are a global assurance and risk management company. And our vision is to tackle global transformations, such as the energy transition, and the sectors we serve are maritime, power and renewables, and the oil and gas sector. And if you're interested in the whereabouts about the energy transition, I'd like to recommend to go to the website of dnv.gl.com/energy transition. There's a very nice report on the energy transition outlook, where our experts give a forward-looking perspective on the energy situation till 2050. And I think that's a very interesting report. And today we're going to talk about the Lynx use case for geothermal energy. Let's give you a bit of a context where we all started. I think at the start of the Lynx project, our aim was to find a use case where we could demonstrate how these emerging knowledge graph technologies and semantic technologies could add value to a topic like the energy transition. We strongly believe that the next decade will be even more important to develop and implement new sustainable energy technologies in order to reach the Paris Agreement. And our assumption was that technology adoption is a key mechanism which is largely influenced by policy advancements by the EU and its member states. So there will be likely some increased dynamics in new legislation and regulation for example, geothermal energy, but also wind energy, hydrogen, solar PV. And in this industry, all the stakeholders need to be aware of the latest whereabouts of the legislation and the regulation, of course. The second assumption, can we go one back, please? Martin, sorry. I think in a broader perspective, we believe that these information technology could also help professionals in this industry to unlock value from unstructured data sets. So we see a lot of repositories about, for example, industry best practices on safety and environmental risks scattered around Europe in different languages. And with this technology, we'd like to demonstrate that it can be combined and we can create intuitive, like single point of access platforms to get access to this this knowledge. Please go ahead, Martin, to the next slide. So what is geothermal energy? For those who don't know, so geothermal energy is about thermal energy that's generated and stored in the earth. And with the geothermal energy plant, you inject cold water into the earth, and you pump heated water back out, and that energy can be consumed either directly or converted into electricity. And here there's a small map of Europe where you see that the potential, the thermal potential, which is quite significant. There's already an historic picture I see. With the new advanced drilling techniques, there's even more potential possible. So it's a very promising sustainable energy alternative, which will help us to decarbonize our economy. Please go to the next slide. Yes. So if you look at building a geothermal energy plant, this is a very interesting picture that's being developed by the International Renewable Energy Agency, and it's really telling the story about how much time it takes before you really can start producing heat. And it's in this picture you see that you have 6 project phases before you start generating revenue, where you can make up your loan. And in this initial phase, we see there's a huge risk profile for these projects. So it's very complicated to, for example, get a good loan where you're paying high interest rates, because in general, the risk profile of a geothermal energy project is high. And all the stakeholders involved, you see the little circles at the right of the slide, all these stakeholders need to be aware of the latest insights in legislation and regulation, and for example, on permits, in order to be sure that they don't have any surprises in the initial phases of their project. Let's go to the next slide. Yes, so our goal with the Lynx use case was to think about, okay, how can we help geothermal energy practitioners to gain better insights in an overview of regulatory information. And what we're all about to demonstrate is how the demonstrator works, and how a keyword search can be used to retrieve validated and relevant information, but also a recommender where you can use a document where you're currently working on, for example, a PDF document, to get some more enrichments and an exploratory view on legislation, regulation, and best practices. So we can start the demo. It was pre-recorded for just to make sure that everything works, but it's a live demo.
Welcome to the live demonstration of the Lynx pilot for geothermal energy. Let's bring up the browser and go to the demonstration page. Here we are. So as you can see, this is the landing page of the geothermal energy pilot for Lynx. And for this webinar today, I would like to highlight 2 functionalities. So first we have search. And the search engine is straightforward, using a keyword search. Or imagine you're a engineer looking for information on drilling, and you submit the drilling keyword, and here you go. The search result presents you a handbook of best practices for geothermal drilling. Now, if you hover over with your mouse, you see that you can directly link to the original source of the document, and there's a short summary of the document to help the user to judge whether this result is relevant to him or her. So search is helping the user to find relevant information from the document manager, which contains a subset of validated documents. Now let's go to back to the landing page and have a look at the recommender, because I think it's fair to say that the recommender really encapsulated all the technologies that have been developed during the Lynx project. And the recommender takes as a starting point an engineer or a person who has a specific task and has a document that describes something about the task. That could be a scope of work document or a permit, but anything that's related to the task at hand. So imagine you're creating a planning for your geothermal energy initiative, and you'd like to understand, okay, what are the type of regulatory constraints or perhaps permits that have been applied near or close to the region that I'm intending to develop a new geothermal energy plant. Now, that's let's have a look how that works. So I've created a sample document, a PDF document. Let's open it here, and you just see it's a very simple PDF document with some English text describing geothermal energy opportunities in the Netherlands. And let's close that and let's drop that in the recommender. Here we go. And you see the spinning wheels indicating that it's being processed and enriched at the moment, and the recommender result page is being generated. Here we go. Now I would like to highlight a couple of elements in the recommender result page. Starting with the left column, you see the content that was originally in the document that we submitted. And the content includes highlighted concepts at the moment. And that's really from the source of the knowledge graph. So in a knowledge graph, we have described the domain of geothermal energy. And it could be including technologies, including types of stakeholders, including regions is of course very important, and the recommender service first crawls through the document and recognizes all these terms and categorizes these concepts. Now here at the top right you see a small legend with the clusters of categories that are currently used in this demonstrator. For example, geo names. Well, let's scroll down. You get a feel for the results. Here you see the Netherlands as of course a geolocation, but also provinces, South Holland and the North of Holland are examples. Now, based on the fingerprint that's generated for this document, the recommender can present or recommend documents in various categories. Now let's have a look at the permits. And what happens in the permits tab is that it really presents all the permits that the recommender thinks are most relevant based on what it knows about the input document. So the fingerprint of this input document is being used to present these results. It could be because there's a term used about a technology, but in most cases it's about proximity. So how close is it to a geolocation that we've recognized in the document? Now here you see an example of a regulatory document which is close to Utrecht, which is a municipality in the Netherlands. And in this recommended result card, you see also a lot of the Lynx services presenting their results. So first and foremost, you see the title of the search result, also including with a link to the original source. But you see an icon here at the right indicating that the content has been translated from Dutch to English. So here you see that the title is in Dutch, but the short summary here at the below is in English. So we have used machine translation to translate the summary of this document from Dutch to English, enabling a broader range of users, so also the non-Dutch speaking community, to understand or to judge whether this document is or not relevant to the task at hand. So we believe that with this functionality we also overcome language barriers in Europe, where most of these permit application documents are perhaps written in the local language.
Okay, I hope the audio is back on. So I hope you enjoyed the demo. If you go to the next slide, Martin. Yeah, so this is just a summary. I hope the demonstrator conveyed our thinking about how this functionality can help connecting various information and information sources to benefit practitioners in geothermal energy, but also in adjacent domains where technology adoption will be a challenge. And therefore, we can probably create single point of access platforms to relevant information for the industry. And if you're interested to learn more about this specific use case, there's some very nice publications on the website of the Lynx project. I've included the URL. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, my contact details are in this slide. So please feel free to contact me and we can talk about the demonstrator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. That was a really great introduction into the use case and also into showing the demonstrator. I think it's very useful for energy consultants. And I think that's also the idea, right? That energy consultants at DNV.GL can then support projects in the area of geothermal energy to provide the information and the thing they need for their daily work and to better plan these projects.
But also our clients, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much. So get in touch with Peter if you have more questions. And also in this direction, I'm sure Peter is happy to set up a call or a demonstration together with you to dig deeper. Thank you very much. So we directly jump into the next pilot of Lynx. And this is about contracts, contract analysis and management. And welcome, Christian. Christian Sargeder is Managing Director of Cybly. And I will directly hand over to you to introduce yourself and start the introduction and demonstration of the pilot. Hi, Christian.
Hi, thank you, Martin. Let's start. What is Cybly? Cybly is a legal tech company here in Austria. Our main goal is to develop process-oriented IT solutions for the legal and finance, and with in the area of compliance, and in all areas where we have a regulatory background. So mainly we are digitizing processes. We have here in Austria 2 products currently running. One is the LawTech, which is a legal database where Austrian, German, and European legislation, case law is in, and you can have with one search, you can look over the different sources. And on the other hand side, we have also, there is an app which is called RIS app, which is mainly the mobile application for the RIS system here in Austria, which is provided by the government, and we provide the mobile application in combination with the government to this RIS website. So we analyze legal processes in their entire and then implement tailored solutions. So this is our main goal. Next slide, please. When we go to contracts, we are seeing with our customers that they are having more and more unmanaged numbers of documents and less time to perform this task. We had last year a customer where they had to view 800,000 documents for certain informations. And if you do it manually, I think you have 2 possibilities, either to hire 1,000 students or 100 students, which then go through these documents, or you do it more in an IT solution. And here, this is what we are facing here. So what we see that only a minimal data set is normally stored when we are talking about contracts. So in the CRM system, in the contract management system, or somewhere else, we only store main information, like what is the customer, maybe contract starts, contract ends, maybe also some kind of type of the contract and the digitized version of the contract, but not more. So there is no information what is the content of the contract. So, and every time when there is a change in law either by a new court decision or something like this, then you are facing the issue that you have to find suddenly all the contracts which are affected by this change. For example, if there is a change in law, for example, for rental contracts, you have to find the rental contracts which are affected by this change in law, and you have to either adapt the clause. So you have to know which rental contracts have this clause in, and the same is for hiring contracts and so on. So this is the starting point for our use case. Next slide, please. So we thought, well, how we can help here. And what our solution is, we want to automate the contract processing and link the contract also with other documents that you have an overview. Because most of the time, one contract, you have not only a contract, you have also email communication with this contract or other side letters and other information. And this could be also spread over different systems within the company. So to get an overview of one single contract over one single customer, it's not easy. When we have done this process, what we want to also provide you the possibility to alert you when there are regulatory changes. Because in the case there is the regulatory changes, then you know immediately which contracts are affected. And with this, we can also input the passing back the information we have extracted to the existing system. So it's our solution is mainly a backend solution. This solution is not always driven by a front end. We have a small front end, but it's thought more to process the information on the contracts and pass it back to the existing legacy systems where this information can be used then. So, and with this, you will win efficiency. So our pilot looks in the main thing like this. You have contracts which are harvested from different sources. Sources can be file system, but can also be by interface from a CRM system or from an interface from an email system. And we do the text extraction, knowledge extractions with in combination with Lynx services. We have other services also where we're extracting this knowledge and then building a document structure, which is on our side. And based on the structure, then we can generate output. This output can be, and on the one hand side, only in a digitalized format and feeding it back to the customer system, or we send you notifications about changes, or a small, or within our application. So let's have a look on our demo. So this has also been pre-recorded only to be on the safe side. I already mentioned that our service is mainly on the backend. I have now configured one service which is watching this watch directory. Every time when there is a document added to this directory, it will be analyzed and then added to our system. So what I'm doing now is I have this rental contract. If we look there, it's a normal rental contract. It's in German, as our use case is mainly for German countries, for Austria. So if I put this now to the directory, it will be now processed. To show you what's happened in the background, we have a demo site also where you can test our highlighting and so on. And we do it now. So we go there and we drop our rental contract there. Now it will be uploaded to the system and processed and converted to a Lynx document, and this Lynx document is converted. So it's already ready, so we don't have too much time. As you can see, we lost the formatting, but this is not so necessary for our use case. We are mainly interested in the information. As you can see, we have different annotations. We have dates, durations. We have even entities which are coming from a terminology, which is here, as you see, mainly for contractual and here for rental contracts. We have even found a account numbers, different amounts, cities. We have entries for company numbers in the Austrian company register. We have an index clause for the year, which is bind to which index year it is, and even the norms or the legislation we have found within the contract. If we want to see it, our demo also allows us to only highlight certain things, and here we go, and here we see which norms we currently have. Here it's the MRG, which is the Mietrechtgesetz, and which is mainly necessary for rental contracts. In the meantime, our other solution should also be ready. This is the dashboard of our legaltech application, which is also for LawTech. And let's open here, and we have a personal collection here. In this personal collections, we have this demo collection, and I have configured that everything what is loaded to this watch directory is loaded to this personal demo collection. If we look now to this collection here, you can see that we have now our rental contract is there, and our other documents we have already also there is also added already. When we go to this, when we want to have additional information, we want to have this for this rental contract, you see that we have found before these different norms, this different legislation. And as you can see, we have now linked them. And if I click now also on here, you see that we are related to this a paragraph within this legislation, and we see that this is referenced from our contract, which we need to have, and it's also referenced by other legislation, no case law, sorry. So even there are 3 of them. So let's go back. So if we go back to our contract, so you can see that we have here only highlighted the different annotations found, but as you can see, these were the same highlights we have found before within our demo application. Why we do this? This is necessary as we have now here the links. We have a certain service which is notifications, and if we go now to the notifications, this I cannot influence anymore because this is real time. And as you can see, there is a notification that there is a certain legislation has changed, and this has changed by the 1st of January this year. And this helps me now if I'm getting a notification that a certain paragraph has changed. For example, from the previous one, this paragraph 1069 of the AGBB, I know now all the contracts or all the documents I have to really to say which are related to. And this helps me that I can be aware which documents I have to take a look if I'm affected by this legislation change. I even can then later on move this to my section of contracts. There I have another structure here, which can be used to organize the contracts on different levels. So I can then move these documents from my personal collection here to a shared collection within the company, and everyone within this company can see it. I could even have configured it so that it is in a public shared folder within the company. So what I can also do, as it is now added to the thing, if I add meet Vertrag and I search within my documents, then I found the thing, and I can also look, for example, for software. There I will find the other ones. I think this gives you a short overview about what the contracts use case is about and how we use the Lynx platform. And maybe you have some questions which we can answer afterwards in the Q&A.
So thank you very much once again, Christian. I think it gives a very good insight into the Cybly system and what you have done with the LySP or the Lynx, so the Lynx Services Platform. And please get in touch with Christian just to be sure. There was a question in the meantime. We will for sure share all the videos, and also we will send you the contacts to the presenters so you can get in touch with the people directly. I welcome here now Elsa and Pascual from Cuatrecasas. Good morning.
Hello.
And
Good morning.
Good morning. Directly hand over to you. Good to have you here to introduce and explain the labor law pilot of the Lynx project. The floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Well, my name is Pascual Boil. I'm responsible for the Consultancy, Innovation and Applications Department in Cuatrecasas. Cuatrecasas is a law firm. Well, please, next slide, Martin. Cuatrecasas is a law firm, an international law firm with a strong leadership in the Iberian Peninsula. We said we have 3 headquarters, main offices, Barcelona, Madrid, and Lisbon. And we are covering all main areas of business law, from litigation, tax, corporate M&A, also labor, and well, IP and personal data, and until to 17 specialties. We have been recognized as a very innovative law firm, empowering new processes and new ways to deliver legal services through the use of technologies, but also new methodologies like Agile, Lean, or legal project management. Next slide, please. Yeah, some figures. We are 1,600 people working in Cuatrecasas, more than 1,000 lawyers, 17 legal specialization, or more than 17, and we have geographical presence in 28 offices in 13 countries. Next slide, please. Yeah, we are Iberian, but with global and international coverage. We have had a great expansion in the last years with a strategic focus on Latin America. We have recently opened new offices with important growth in Mexico, Chile, Colombia, and Peru, and with a strong relationship with other law firms. Special attention to our strategic membership into the European network with other 3 leading law firms like GIT in France, Glaze in Germany, and Chiomenti in Italy. Next slide, please. Yeah, about the use case. We decide to select the labor law use case because labor law has real big complexity, because labor law is different in different countries. And then we found several languages on each country, and all these laws are changing a lot. But in addition to other laws, we found specific labor regulation by sector, industries, and even specific labor agreements at company level. When we heard about the Lynx project 4 years ago, we envisioned a solution and applications to simplify this problem, managing all this complex regulatory and information, and that we'll be able to find a right answer to a legal question for a normal person, not a lawyer or a legal expert. Next slide, please. And over that vision, we defined 3 main use cases. The internal one was for our Cuatrecasas lawyers, because we frequently, and every year it happens more frequently, we participate in international operations, in typically M&A operations, with global or international acquisitions, when one company wants to buy another company who has presence in several countries, or simply the geographical expansion of our different customers, when a company is planning to open a new factory or a subsidiary in a new country. And by the other side, on the external part, to be able to deliver a solution to be used directly to our customers, typically big global companies who has to manage these different regulations on each country in their daily operations. Next slide, please. And well, the target user, well, in the internal use case, there are the typically young lawyers, because they has the responsibility to collect all the relevant information, the relevant legislation, and do the research part of the regulation and jurisprudence for each country, and really to prepare the information for the more senior lawyers to do the analysis and recommendation for our customers. And by the other hand, in the external use case, typically the user is the in-house lawyer, but every day is more typical to be used, or the necessity is regarding the business executives, like the human resource director, that are non-lawyers or non-legal skilled. Next slide, please. Well, this is an example of the question list that we could find in our real operations in the M&As, and well, we can find big questions, extremely long list of questions, more than 50 or 100 questions related or that has to be checked against 2 or 3 different countries or jurisdictions. And sometimes the list is very short, only 3 or 5 relevant questions, but you has to be checked in more than 20 countries. Next slide. And the solution, well, the solution is we have created an applications in the front and on the top of the Lynx services, where we manage, we use the Lynx intelligence of the platform services to find a solution, no? To be able to based on to take a legal question from the user in natural language, and being able to find the right or some possible questions or relevant information to be able to solve this legal question to the user. And then we are providing an easy interaction to the end user, and we are orchestrating and combining the different Lynx services as a different pieces of the Lynx platform. We are using the legal knowledge graph, but also services like entity extraction, annotation, machine translation, and the semantic search and the Q&A question answering module. Next slide, please. Well, and finally, this is how our application looks like. And now I let you with my colleague Elsa and the guided demo that to show how it works. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to our webinar, on which we are going to show the tool created for the Cuatrecasas labor law use case. In our case, the lawyer access through our intranet using single sign-on authentication. Based on that single sign-on, the application takes care of the access and rights that this user has in the system. On the top, there is the menu on which we have the options question, question history, company settings, and user profile. We will start showing the company settings option. Here there are all the companies on which the end user has access to, private and public companies, that manages security in retrieving answers from the system. Each company has a private document to be used for the system in order to find out the proper answers for our questions. To upload a new document into the Lynx system, the user must select on which company wants to upload it. Select the upload option, and then a new screen comes up. In the screen, we are going to look for the document we want to upload. The user must select on how to split it, by page or by article. You can exclude pages or text using rules that are not interested to be considered in the future answers. And when you decide everything, you have the option to save it. The document now it's going to be ready to be processed. Now the document is ready to be enriched with metadata. You can whether create a title, change the title, decide on which language you are uploading the document, which jurisdiction applies to, which type of document it is. It's a collective agreement, it's a legal law document. You can select if this document is going to be uploaded in one or several companies' repositories. Select the URL, the source URL, and create which is the creator of the document. Now you can review if the document was splitted properly. We decided by articles, so all parts of the document are going to be splitted by articles, and once everything is okay, you save the document. Now the document is being converted to a Lynx format, and it's going to be uploaded into the Lynx platform. Once the document is uploaded, it's available for the company and all users that has access to that company. Now we are going to see the user profile option. The lawyer can define which are his/her defaults by selecting which jurisdiction or jurisdictions wants to cover and language that wants to retrieve the answer. If the lawyer wants to work with a subset of documents that belongs to one company or more companies, what we have to do is to name the favorite subset of information, search by the document or documents, filtering by all the metadata available in the Lynx platform. So once we search by the documents, using the filtering options, we can select one or more documents. On question options, on this example, the lawyer selection is to retrieve answers in Spanish and retrieve it by two different jurisdictions, Spain and Austria, and with a subset of labor law defined by the company Cybly. The question will be in English. We will receive the answers in two different jurisdictions, represented in two different tabs, and the information of the answers will be retrieved in Spanish. Once we receive the answers, we have the question translated in the original language of each jurisdiction. If there is any mistake on the translation, can be addressed on the screen and run it again, the question from that jurisdiction. The user can read the answers in Spanish and rate it if the answer is properly retrieved or not, to help the system to receive feedback in order to improve it in the future. We can keep on rating answers and reading the different answers coming from different sources, and we can do the same for the Austrian jurisdiction. The question is translated in the original language of the jurisdiction. You can change it if it's not properly translated and run it again, and rate it also the answers that are coming up in Spanish language, which is the user profile definition. You can review it with the full text that contains the answers, and also review it in the original text of the source. All answers have the link to the original source on the Lynx platform, and you can review all the information there. Finally, the question history. The lawyer can retrieve answers run in the past. And that's all for the moment. Thank you very much for your attention.
I'm not sure, Pasquale, would you like to add something at the moment, or shall we go into question answering?
We can go to the question answering. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So just to be sure, we will share the videos with you also in a good quality. And before we go into question answering, first of all, thank you so much to all the presenters, Elena, Peter, Christian, Elsa, and Pasquale. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this is the second webinar today of a webinar series. So you can see it in the slides. Today we have the webinar number 2 of the Lynx project. It's all about business cases and pilot cases. And if you were interested to learn more about the technology, we have 2 more webinars in February, one on the 11th, one on the 18th. The one is about the Lynx Services Platform, LySP. An overview. It's all about the architecture, about the setup, about the basic services that are driving this platform. And the webinar number 4 on the 18th of February will be about all the services. We have, a couple, I would say around a dozen of services here in place, smart compliance services, and we will then go deep into the details and explain what they are and what they can do, so that you can see how also they can support your use case, for example. We have a final event in March on the 17th. The agenda is still in preparation, but if you're interested to speak with our experts, with the consortium, to learn more also what happens after the project, then feel free to register already today for the 17th of March, 9:30 to 12, or at least block it into your calendar. Thank you very much for this. I would like to ask, and I will now activate my camera, also the panel. Hi, Elena, to come back. So all the panelists, all the presenters, because we go into question answering, and we will see what questions are coming in. So I get them here in the chat. That's the reason I need a little bit of time. And there is one that I can really hand over to all the panelists, more or less. It says, what happens, or what's the outlook of your pilot system? So what happens, as this is a research project, what are you planning to do, or what will happen on top of your pilots? Maybe we go the order that we had in presentation, but backwards. So we start with Cuatrecasas, Elsa and Pascual. What will happen with your question answering system?
Well, we have a lot of plans, a lot of next steps in our roadmap. First of all, we are being focused today improving the accuracy of the system, because previous of to deliver something to our customers, we want to be clear about the accuracy and the real value for them. And then some of the next steps are regarding to ensure this quality improvement. And regarding that, we have to internally do some improvements, taking into account the different kind of questions that we have, that the user can have, because it's very different to the strategy to solve a very specific question than a general question that maybe is asking for a definition or general information, and it's very different the approach to solve a very specific question when you want to know a concrete data or a concrete value. This is one thing. Second is regarding the scope of the project. We are international, and we are putting lots of focus on LATAM, then introduce new jurisdictions, open in Chile, Peru, being able to support our international growth. And finally, also regarding the introduce new laws, we have started with probably the more complex, but it's quite easy to do something similar with IP, GDPR, and even tax, that are more concrete, more compact, and with less complexity laws. But all of this should be very valuable for our lawyers, and also our customers.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a very comprehensive answer. Thanks a lot, but gives a lot of insights. Let's go to Christian. So as I said, backwards, Cybly, the contract use case. What's the outlook here? Oh, we cannot hear you. Not sure why.
Oh. The outlook here is the same. So what we want to do is to improve the quality of the recognition, and also adding additional services for our use case. We are already started to integrate it to more and more services coming from us, making use of different Lynx services for different solutions. Not every time everything is needed, but sometimes only the translation is needed. Sometimes only the recognition, the entity recognition is needed, or something like this. So here we extended to our existing application, and we have a new development where we also want to build on top or in conjunction with the Lynx platform, as there it is mainly interest to harvest also old information, which is still on a file system, I would say, and not in a knowledge graph.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Also interesting topics here. Peter, geothermal energy, what comes next
Yes.
with this pilot?
Thank you, Martin. I think for the future, I see two pathways. So on the one hand, we will continue working on the geothermal energy use case together with the industry associations like IGA and EJEC. And one of the quick wins, I think, is to see how we can also include other content categories like information on safety and environmental risks into the demonstrator, so we can really create an enriched environment with relevant information. On the other hand, if you look at our strategy, DNV.GL, we keep on exploring the combination of digitalization and decarbonization. And I'm fully confident that there are other use cases where we can use this technology to help professionals in the industry to get better insights in either regulatory information or best practices or historic knowledge to gain better insights and make better decisions in the way forward. So that are the two pathways, Martin.
Thank you very much. I mean, we see also climate services rising and the Green Deal that we know that is now happening in the European Union. So I think that's the right way to go and also to expand. Thank you very much to the three of you, or the four of you. We have time for one. I mean, we're exactly on the point, but there's one question. Can this system also be adapted to other domains beside legal? Maybe Elena, would you like to answer?
Sure, thank you. Okay, I would say that most of the services could be applied to any other domains, but it's true that for the purposes of this project, they have been specifically trained for the legal domain and the specific subdomains that are represented by our pilots. So there would be, I think, in most of them, there would be the need to adapt them to other domains, but kind of the building blocks are there, I would say.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, adding a little bit answer by myself. So in principle, the services are domain independent. But you are right. We have the legal knowledge graph. The name says it. So a knowledge graph on legal. So we have to adapt the knowledge graph, and also some services you can imagine today with machine learning, they need to be trained on a domain, on a topic, or named entity recognition, things like this. So this would be needed to be adapted, but it's possible and also expandable in other languages, because that I think is also an important one. Good. Thank you very much once again. So thanks also again for being participants today. Thanks to the audience for your interest. We will share and send out information and slides and videos without starting them once again in the coming days. And thanks so much to the panelists, to the speakers, and have a great day. And we hope to see you at the next webinar of Lynx then in February. Bye-bye, and stay safe and healthy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.